Welcome to the latest episode of Branding the Experience. We discuss ways how we can create environments where employees actually want to come to work and customers want to keep coming back. Hi, I'm Ken Bator, your host for Branding the Experience. The subject today, first and true, much like I did this week with Cool Culture Corner to celebrate the 200th episode of that podcast. Want to celebrate the 200th episode of Branding the Experience. Again, much like Cool Culture Corner, it did this a little bit on a whim. I think I had a little bit more of a plan with Branding the Experience than I may have had with Cool Culture Corner. But nevertheless, started this for fun and a little bit of promotion for Bator Training and Consulting, and get the opportunity to meet some awesome experts. And Branding the Experience has certainly allowed me to do all of that, whether it's some of the colleagues that I've gained, some of the appearances that I've had, like the New Media Summit, and so on and so forth. But I also, in addition to celebrating the 200th episode, want to use this platform as we take a hiatus from Branding the Experience for a little while so I can get back to Public Safety Talk Radio. Many of you know that I host that podcast as well, and that one of my passions is first responders. And then also the other passion that I have, which many of you know, is for podcasts. For 3 years, I had the distinct pleasure of being the true crime category director for Podcast Magazine. Was so privileged to be a part of the very first issue back in, I believe it was February of 2020. And of course, the last issue that was produced, which was the November-December issue of 2022. And hopefully, this will not be the last issue ever. And of course, I wrote for every single magazine in between those two issues of Podcast Magazine. I know that the former owner is still working as I record this to sell Podcast Magazine and that brand to another entity. I hope that happens, and hope that it doesn't die, and hope that I'm still involved. But in the meantime, especially in my hiatus from Branding the Experience, I'm going to launch a new podcast, which is the intersection of two of my greatest passions, which is first responders and true crime podcasts. Much like I mentioned with Branding the Experience, my experience with Podcast Magazine and true crime has given me a number of colleagues and friendships that I wouldn't have had without that particular venture. So big shout out to Steve Olsher, the founder of Podcast Magazine, for allowing me to be part of it and creating what I still feel is an amazing brand of Podcast Magazine. But with that possibly either going away or being on hiatus itself, and given my passion for first responders and true crime podcasts, I'll be launching very shortly a new show called First and True. Every week, what we're going to do is highlight a new podcast, either a first responder related podcast or a true crime podcast that is a serious podcast. Certainly nothing against shows such as Obsessed and Small Town Murder and Crime and Sports. They're all great podcasts and really appreciated covering those for Podcast Magazine. But for First and True, we're going to cover only the serious true crime podcasts that keep cases alive, that keep missing persons cases alive, and is law enforcement friendly, or at least not law enforcement negative. We certainly realize that first responders and police make mistakes out there. And when they make a mistake, especially if it's one that is intentional, we need to call them out on that. But I am very, very proud to be a staunch, not blind, but staunch supporter of all first responders and public safety professionals. So look for First and True. That's going to be a new brand brought to you by Bator Training and Consulting. And we're going to have a lot of fun with that. So if you really enjoy podcasts, whether you're in the first responder community, the true crime community, or a fan of those shows, you'll want to tune in to First and True and be able to learn about new podcasts out there. And also for podcasters out there, those that produce or host first responder or true crime related podcasts, we're going to have a collaboration component of First and True, something that we had for a very brief time, a year or two ago, that had some popularity for a while and then kind of fizzled out. We're not going to charge for that collaboration group, but we are going to ask for support and donations for those that do participate in the collaboration portion of First and True. That ability or opportunity to donate is going to be done through one of our great POCUA partners, Fund the First, that is basically a GoFundMe for first responders, teachers, military, and a lot of public safety individuals and groups to raise funds for particular initiatives and unfortunately for some of those unfortunate incidents that have happened out there in the first responder world. But I'm really excited for the new brand and to create a great experience for listeners, watchers of First and True, and also to create that collaboration and that community among podcasters. So really excited to bring that to you. For now, Branding the Experience will be on a hiatus. We'll work to bring you episode 201 and beyond in the coming months, hopefully before the end of 2023. So tune in to First and True. Tune in to Public Safety Talk Radio, which will be coming back for season 5 very shortly. And also catch up on old episodes of Branding the Experience 1 to 200. And we'll be back with you really soon with episode 201 and beyond for Branding the Experience. But in the meantime, thank you to all those that watch. Thank you to all those that have participated and have given me advice and thoughts about subjects that we should cover on Branding the Experience. Always looking to get that feedback. Feel free to reach out directly to me at kbator, Bator, at btcinc.net. And in the meantime, here's hoping until we're back with you on this particular platform that you're branding the experience at a very high level for all those you serve. Do you need a speaker for your next conference? Maybe a facilitator for your next strategic planning or training session? A full program with expert panelists and interactive exercises for attendees? Or maybe you need an MC for your next event. I'm here to help and have the expertise to be a part of an amazing agenda for your audience. Learn more about Bator Training and Consulting at www.btcinc.net, or better yet, just contact me directly at kbator at btcinc.net, and let's talk about your next event, next training session, or next summit.